You just have a lot of thoughts that go through your head.
Pretty high speed, you look at your brake pressure, it's pretty dead already, that's the problem. Just
It's my dream since I was a kid, since I was 6, 7 years old, thinking like, wow, one day that's a place I would love to be. It's part of McLaren, part of Formula One, winning races.
Let's keep it up, let's keep fighting. This is the beginning.
Many adjectives have been used to describe Lando Norris. Brash, party animal, weak-minded. He's not tough enough. He's too self-deprecating. He's inconsistent. Doesn't really get that first lap turn right. Poles to win ratio. Right? But despite all the negative monikers, Lando Norris has proved all his detractors, all his haters wrong. Because he is the 2025 Formula One World Champion, and there's not anything that anybody can do or say that's ever going to change that. Lando will forever have his name etched in the Formula One World Championship trophy. And the bottom line, and the thing that I love about it, is that Lando did it his way. Let's talk about it here at America F1.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it does. For me, maybe. It's full wet. I can't do this.
I didn't sleep.
Are you okay?
Yeah, all good. Simply lovely, huh?
You're really fast.
Sorry, it's all my bad. Stupid for me.
McLaren have been disqualified from the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
Lando Norris is world champion!
You made a kid's dream true. Thanks so much.
And I know at times I say some stupid things, and I say some, I say some things about Max, or I might have said some things at times in the past, and everyone talks about Lewis. And some things I regret and I wish I could take back and never have come out my mouth. But I honestly believe I give more respect to anyone else than anyone else. I give more respect to Oscar. I give more respect to Max. I try and give as much respect as I can to Lewis. He's 7 watch, he's the best driver you compare him to Schumacher, the best driver that's ever been in Formula One. I'm not even close to that. I might never be. I dream of those kind of things. I dreamed of today, and I've managed to achieve 1 of 7 comparing to him. And do I certainly regret some of the comments I might have said in cool-down rooms or whatever it is? Yes. But a lot of those are in the heat of the moment, and by the time I said it, I've gone, why the hell did I just say that? So
Don't fail me again.
An horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing.
Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. We started off the last race of the season with Max on pole, running the mediums. Lando was second, running the mediums. And we had Oscar Piastri running the hard tires. Now, when I first saw that, I was like, that's an interesting strategy. And I was trying to figure out, like at that moment, like, okay, what are the implications of Oscar running the hard tires? Okay, hard tires run longer. And if there's a safety car early, he could stay out. It's good to split the strategy because now you're playing 2 against 1 instead of, because Yuki qualified, I think he qualified 10th. So he's not in the mix really at that point in time. He would be if they kept Yuki out and, when one of them pits and they come out and they're behind Yuki, then maybe he could hold Piastri, but more so Norris up. And we'll talk about that because that happened a little bit later and that kind of did make an impact on the race. But then I also thought about 2016 when Nico Rosberg won his world championship. What did Lewis do? Lewis tried to back the field up into Nico so that maybe somebody would make a mistake, or maybe Nico would make a mistake while passing back markers, or there's more pressure that way because there's more cars to pass and there's a gap between the leader and the guy trying to make the championship. So more things can happen. There's more variables. So I was like, okay, so they put him on the hard, Lando will come in, and then Oscar will stay out and he will have track position. And then Max will have to pass him on track and hopefully he can hold Max up. But then Max can't really undercut if he got passed or when he was changing from mediums to hard or mediums to softs, or however they wanted to go. He couldn't really back either one of them up because one of them would have track position on him. And since Lando had qualified second, we were all thinking about Lando, but Oscar Piastri made a freaking awesome pass around the outside on Lando. And some people were like, oh, that's the pass of the day. And it wasn't because I'll tell you which one was. And it was the Hamilton pass on Carlos Sainz. That was the pass of the day. But because Lando saw Oscar passing on the outside, he kind of had to back off. He couldn't challenge Oscar and he couldn't get into a tit for tat because all he needed to do was be on the podium and finish third to win. And so all he had to do was keep that gap between himself. And at the time it was Russell, but Charles made such a good start. It was Charles, and Charles pressured him the whole time. And so at that moment, all he had to do is stay third. That's it. Just get on the podium. Let's have good pit stops. And let's not rock the boat. And so with that, they got into a rhythm. And after Oscar passed Lando, Oscar was second, Lando was third, Charles was fourth, pressuring Lando pretty much the whole way. And they got into a rhythm. And all Lando had to do is no mistakes. Let's get a good pit stop. Now, the Ferraris were really fast on the straight, and Charles would gain on the straight. The first sector to second sector, Charles would eke ahead. But the significance of that third sector with the McLaren was quite prominent. And so every gain that Charles may have, Oscar and Lando would just get it back on the third sector. And it was such a significant factor that when you took the whole lap time, they'd always gain a little bit. They'd always gain a tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5/10 here and there, lap after lap, because that third sector balance was so in favor of McLaren, the Ferrari really never could catch up. And we were all watching with bated breath. Like, is he going to make a mistake? And to his credit, he locked in and no mistakes. I mean, no mistakes. Lando drove perfectly. He was in third. He stayed in third. No mistakes. Oscar was in second. No mistakes. Kind of had, some pressure, a little bit pressure on Max, but we all knew once Max got into clean air, that was it. Max is going to win that race. Long as we didn't have a safety car, which would have threw some loops in, but we didn't have a Nicholas Latifi out there that would make a mistake to throw everything off and throw everything, all the strategy by the wayside. Everybody was just locked in and driving. Now, when we fast forward into that first pit stop, McLaren, flawless. Oscar pit stop, flawless. Lando pit stop. They come out, and now Yuki is ahead of Lando. And we all know that they've told Yuki, we need you to hold Lando or Oscar up if they're behind. And Yuki already know what his job is. But when you go into the mindset, how much really is Yuki going to hold him up now that he's the reserve driver? Like, shouldn't have Red Bull told Yuki after this race that you're going to be the reserve? I mean, I would have done that. I'd have been like, Yuki, everything's riding on this race. And if you can somehow show us that you can hold him up or give a good showing and help Maximilian win this championship, then the seat's yours. That's what I would have done. Total psychological. I wouldn't have waited. I would have waited. I wouldn't have told him way ahead of time, yeah, we're going to give the seat to Isaac Hadjar. Because once you do that, like Yuki's like, well, how much really am I going to fight? I'm going to, I'll fight, I'll fight a little bit, but how much really am I going to fight? I mean, I'm a reserve driver now. I'm not, you're not even sending me back to the Racing Bulls team because somehow Liam Lawson has done enough to take over that seat. And we can talk about that a little later. But looking at the past that Lando did, and they said, it was under investigation, and they basically penalized Yuki 5 seconds, which I thought was harsh. It was a racing incident. They said he moved under braking, and that Lando had to take evasive action because when he moved to the inside, and look at the freeze frame, here it is, we all know that his tires were out, the white lines. Okay, we all know he was out of bounds. Now, I instantly thought, if that was Lewis Hamilton, what would they have done? I don't know why I did. I did. I did. And I was like, they would have penalized Lewis. But they said that this was on Yuki, and Lando had to take evasive action. And so he left the track, and he did pass up Yuki. So he gained an advantage off the track. Now, I just imagined the press conference if one Christian Horner was still in charge. There'd be maps. There'd be overheads. There'd be views from every angle, how far Lando Norris was over the white line and how it should have been a penalty. And they were going to protest because he should have got a 5-second penalty. But I don't think even with a 5-second penalty, it would have mattered, because then even though the pace of the Ferrari was pretty good. I think if they had done it right then at that moment, Lando could have opened up a 5-second gap. And what would have ended up happening is Oscar would have ended up letting Lando by, and then Oscar would be third, and he would hold Charles back, and then Lando would have had enough of a gap to be the world champion anyway, if that would have happened. I'm just hypothesizing, because that's if I'm in charge of the strategy, that's what I would have done. So either way, he's going to win right there. But I could only imagine if Horner was in charge, they'd back up the field, and everything that Christian Horner could do for Max to win would have been done. But my hats are off to Lauren Meeks and Maximilian for how they handled this. They didn't try to back it up. They played it clean. They just won the race, and they let Lando win or lose on his own merits. They didn't try to do any funny business, which I respect. And it's because, Max already has 4 championships. Okay, so I'm not backing up the field. And, we thought about it, but they had the split strategy. And then I could have gave up, a position to Oscar on the hards. So, we didn't want to do all that. Let's just win the race. And what happens behind us happens. And the rest of the field. Well, you had Lance Stroll, who qualified 13th. He finished in the points in 10th, which was one of his better drives, to be honest, this season. He hasn't had too many. It's been, like a typical Lance Stroll season. Some highs, some lows, no podiums. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 26 because 27 is going to be silly season on steroids. You heard it here first. 27 is going to be silly season on steroids because after we get an inkling of how the positions are going to be with the new car, people are going to be moving around, angling for position like crazy. Then we had the Hulkenberg who qualified 18th and he finished 9th, which is wow. The Hulk has been, that Sauber's been pretty consistent, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that Audi outfit next year. It really is, because they got 2 really good drivers, the Hulk, and they got Bortoletto, who I think could be a world champion, one day. It's going to be interesting to see how this Audi project matures. In 8th place, we had Lewis Hamilton coming from 16th, moving up 8 positions to 8th. And for some reason, that Ferrari looked pretty decent. Leclerc was in 4th. Hamilton moved up to 8th. I thought he had the pass of the day when he passed on the inside of Carlos Sainz, considering how bad that Ferrari has been, that SF25 has been this year. That was a great pass. Definitely the pass I thought of the day. Because really, there wasn't that much passing going on. It was kind of in the midfield. That's where all the passing happened. The Hulk came up, Stroll came through, Hamilton moved up. Ocon finished 7th, but he qualified 8th, so he only moved up 1 place. And Alonso stayed 6th. He qualified 6th. He stayed 6th. Russell was the only one who qualified 4th, and he moved back 1 place to 5th. Charles qualified 5th. He moved up 1 place to 4th. And, Lando actually qualified 2nd and moved back 1 place to 3rd, but that's all he had to do. I think Oscar did the best he could. Lando did the best he could, and Max won the race. And, that's it. Lando Norris is the 35th Formula One world champion. He beat Max head up through a whole season, even though Max had one of the generational comebacks of all time. Being down 104 points to only lose by 2 points, and Kimi Antonelli had asked, who won? And it said, Lando won the championship. How many points did he lose by? And win by, and he won by the 2 points that the controversial, he let Lando pass from the last race. He won by 2 points. Now, if he didn't have passed Kimi at that point, then Max would have won the championship. All these things play out as they play out. And it takes a lot to win a championship over the season. When you think that Lando had a DNF, Lando had a restriction, or I should say not a restriction, but their car was deemed illegal in Las Vegas. And he overcame all that. He overcame the clash earlier in the season with Piastri, which was dumb, and he even said that was stupid. He overcame all that in his press conference, and as usual, I'll put it up here. He said, hey, in the heat of the moment, I said some things about Max. I said some things about Lewis that, I shouldn't have said. That shows a little maturity. He didn't have to say it. He could have just, cried and done his little laugh and did his little dance shuffle and got his, championship trophy and drank some champagne and go sing "We Are the Champions." And that's it. But no, he said, hey, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And maybe I should do better, because it's not as easy as I thought. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton's a 7-time world champion. I'm not that good. Maybe I'll never be that good. They compare him to Schumacher. He's one of the best ever. And so, I said some things and, I shouldn't have said it. And I'm sorry for it. That shows a level of maturity, because he didn't have to say it. He's the 11th British Formula One world champion. He's the first McLaren driver since the 2008 Lewis Hamilton World Championship. Lando Norris, long may he reign. It'll be interesting. He's going to change from the number 4 to the number 1. He wore a gold helmet in testing today. They test over, they're already testing the new Pirelli test, the new tires. They're going to keep the 18-inch rims, but the front and the backs are going to be smaller. It'll be interesting to see what the new car design is. We'll talk about that later in the week. Mike's getting back this week, and we'll do a end of the season show, and then we'll probably do in the coming weeks, what are the cars going to look like next year and all that type of thing show. Other news before we talk a little bit more about Lando is that Helmut Marko is out at Red Bull. And people are saying, well, why? 1, and 2, who did it? It's kind of like a cleaning of the house. You get rid of Christian Horner, you get rid of Helmut Marko, you bring in some new guard, and then now you kind of, as the new Red Bull, you kind of make it more of a corporate structure that answers to them instead of you guys kind of doing your own thing. The rumor is that Helmut Marko had signed Alex Dunn from F2 without the knowledge of the upper management. He did it on his own. And now that contract's apparently null and void. Personally, I think that's a better, I'm going off on a tangent, but Alex Dunn, I think, would be a better driver in F1 than Lindblad. 100%, I think it. If you saw Alex Dunn this year, he's a hit and miss guy. He's either going to win it or he's going to, have an accident and botch it, kind of like Max used to do. but he's fast. I mean, he's quick, he's fast, and he has that kind of hell-bent attitude that I think would work out more in F1 than Lindblad would work out. I just do. I've seen the races. I've seen the F2 races, and you can see Alex Dunn, the way he races. I think his style better fits F1 than Lindblad does. I mean, we'll see next year. I think Liam Lawson should beat Lindblad by quite a bit. That's just my opinion. I think from what I've seen. Now, I don't get to see all the behind the scenes sim racing and what the times are there and the testing times and all that. I just go by my eye by going to the track and watching the races, and what I see, Alex Dunn to me fits better in F1 than Lindblad does. Okay, I hope he proves me wrong because I want everybody to do well. But I just think that would have been a good signing. But I also think that it's good to get rid of Helmut Marko. Been saying that for a while, especially during the Lewis times. I thought he said some pretty xenophobic things. Also think he was kind of anti-Checo. I didn't like the things he said about Checo. You remember he said Checo was from South America when he's from Mexico, which is North America. And you know, he's 82. His time is kind of, does he really relate to today's driver, young kids coming out in your junior program? Nah, I don't think he does. And I hope they bring in Seb. That's the rumor. They're going to bring in Seb. And if they do, I think they'll be definitely better off by doing it. Seb obviously relates to the drivers better. He's a 4-time world champion. Who wouldn't want to be mentored by Seb? I think that would be a great role for Seb. Would love to see Seb walking around the grid again in that type of mentorship, young driver mentorship role. That would be awesome. We'll also put up a little tribute to Lando Norris, and we're not accepting, because we're going to use so many different videos for this tribute that you guys can watch. You're not accepting any payment. This is not going to be a paid podcast. We're going to set this to non-paid because we're going to use other people's videos and other people's captures. We're going to, we're using this under the fair use. And we're going to also give them, their props and put up whose video is from and all that. But I think Lando Norris, when he did it, as I said before, he did it his way. And his way is not, what I mean by that is Lando Norris is vulnerable. He, like Lewis, he wears his heart on his sleeve, but even more so where he just is so self-deprecating and he's so nice. He said, he's giving back positions. Just think, if earlier in the season, we didn't have the papaya rules where Oscar gives back the position to Lando because a bad pit stop, Lando wouldn't be champion. If you also go back to the earlier part of the season where Lando let Oscar overtake him and he would have not done that, he'd probably been champion a long time ago. But he doesn't have that, I would say, cutthroat mentality that Lewis would have, or definitely Max would have. He does it his way. He's nicer. He kind of plays the team game. He seems like a really good teammate. Despite the papaya rules, I don't even think you would need the papaya rules with Lando. It just seems like his personality is one of fairness and happy. He's happy. He has a great smile. And his personality is not the same personality of a Seb, where you have, multi-21, where Seb is supposed to stay behind Mark Webber. Seb passes him anyway. They turn down the engines. Seb passes him anyway. And that's the difference between him winning a championship and not winning a championship. And Seb's not going to do it. In the heat of a championship battle, Lewis is not doing it. And Max laughed at the thought of doing that. Max just started laughing and said, I would never do that. But Lando did. He's a different type of champion. And I think that's good for the young kids in karting and in F3 and F2 and in Super GP trying to make it to F1 to see that you don't have to be cutthroat. You don't have to be this killer. You don't have to have that me against the world mentality to win a world championship. And it just shows us that you can bring a different type of mentality, a different type of racing style, and still win. So we'll give a nice tribute to Lando. And I'm happy, personally, that now my Lando signed picture, 24 of 25, is definitely going to go up in value. Woohoo! Let's go! And on that note, let's check out the Lando tribute. And keep on racing, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in all year. We'll bring more great shows to you. And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Enjoy the break.
That's it, mate. You are world champion. Lando, this is Zach from McLaren. Is this the world champion hotline?
Yeah.
You did it!
Thank
You did it! Awesome! Woo!
Oh, shit. Thank you, guys. Oh, my God. You made a kid's dream true. Thanks so much. I love you guys. Thanks for everything. You deserve it. I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. Thanks for everything. I'm not crying.
This guy was pushing too fucking hard.
Lando filmando el casco de Alonso. Oh, wow. Campeón del mundo. Le acaba de firmar el casco a Alonso. Déjame ver, Alonso.
Y le puso un 1.
Oh, wow. Un 1 te puso encima del apellido.
Even though it's just one, I'm very proud of that just one, you know, and it's just it's an incredible journey. People don't understand from the outside. I'm sure some do, but for my engineers, my mechanics, my brother, my sisters, my parents, so much goes into achieving this, you know, so much time away, so much dedication, so much sacrifice. You know, my engineers, my mechanics, they don't get to see their kids growing up that much. They see me grow up more than their kids in a way. And it's crazy that so many people have that faith in me, and I get to repay them just a little bit by achieving what we've all achieved today. I get to say thank you to them in the best way possible, and that's what really makes me so happy, is that I made their time worth it, and that puts the biggest smile on my face. Also, the fact that it's just world champion is pretty cool, but yeah, this one is for them. It's for these people who supported me more than it is for myself, and that's the thing which puts the biggest smile on my face.
I reckon if we can try and beat them throughout the season, it'll be good, and we can win the championship.
Who will win?
Probably me, hopefully.